So why did I choose Detroit Speed? Not going to bore you with an unboxing, as much as some time-lapse video of me slicing and dicing and pulling off the plastic might be entertaining for myself. I'm not going to bore you with it. So here's the plastic. I'm going to rip it off and show you what I got, explain why I got it, and then perhaps even more important, share my thinking in terms of why I decided to go with Detroit Speed. Looked at them all from Rytec, Art Morrison, Chassis Works, Heights, Schwartz. Who am I missing? There's another one I'm missing. Brainstall. Anyways, it'll come to me. I'll cut back in a few minutes once I get the plastic off and let you know what I bought, and go from there. Okay, everything's pretty well opened up and accounted for. Everything was nicely packed, no issue there whatsoever. So clearly I got their complete subframe for my 67, complete with single adjustable JRI coilovers. Here's the coilovers, again single adjustable for the rear Quadrolink. What's a DSE order without the mini tubs? Looking forward to putting big minimum 315, hoping I can squeeze 335s back there, maybe with a little bit of sheet metal work. Well, I got the trunk closeouts. There's the spring perches. We have the 4-link brackets and bars, subframe connectors, body mounts, spring or the coilovers, body mounts, hardware. Even got the high pressure hose fittings for the rack and pinion, and a banjo connection for the power steering pump. What else do I got? I guess that's about it. Making a chassis, suspension, and steering decision is really integral to the vision of anyone's build. It's not an easy decision. There's a lot of competition out there, which is fantastic for the consumer. And if you're an enthusiast who drives your car hard for a specific purpose, you can tailor build your choices and options to whatever your needs are. So why Detroit Speed for me? Well, you're not in Kansas, Toto. This is Winnipeg, Canada, as others in Canada fond to call us Winterpeg. I think it's minus 35 Celsius out right now. So just a bit of context. Anything I purchase or a Canadian purchases from the States, we get slammed with currency exchange. Our dollar is about 30% less in value than the US dollar, so we got to tack on a 30% currency exchange right off the top. Taxes where I live are 7% provincially, and then a 5% goods and services tax nationally. So bang, add on another 12%. So 42% over and above the retail cost in the US before I even consider. So it's what is a sizable investment already becomes a huge investment. So I don't take that kind of decision lightly, and I've done my research. Before you, me, or anyone else can make a decision of this magnitude, you need to align it to your vision, what you want, what you're hoping to achieve, and what's going to make you happy, what's going to bring you value. Do I have that vision? Hell yeah. I've owned this car since I was 16, back in the early 80s, restored it once. Do I want to modernize this thing now? Of course I do. Is this a numbers matching collectible version of a 67? No. It's a base coupe. It had a straight 6 in it when I bought it. I had to tow it home. The engine sounded like a busted washing machine. I couldn't get it out of there fast enough. There was things about the car that I really enjoyed, and there was some things that I really didn't care for, but I didn't have the money at the time to address it. So I made the best of it. A few of those pet peeves was the 2-speed power glide. Really didn't care for it. Wish I had a standard back in the day. The other was the manual steering and the manual brakes. drove the manual steering like a badge of honor, parallel parking it and the like. But do I want that now? No, I want a modern sports car that can stop on a dime and can turn on a dime and can be a bit of a corner carver. I don't want to go out and buy a new Audi or BMW. Would I like this car to perform like one of those? Yeah, that's my goal. Do I need 650 horsepower at the crank? No. Do I want 650 horsepower at the crank? Hell yeah. So getting back to the question at hand, why Detroit Speed? Fundamental to that decision is whether or not you rebuild your existing subframe, or in my case, chose to go with a new subframe. There's a lot of kits, even Detroit Speed makes a kit, numbered various options that you can modernize your existing subframe. Are those viable options? Of course they are. Are they the appropriate decision for a lot of people? Yeah, you bet. So why did I decide to go with a new subframe? Well, the same reason I want 650 horsepower at the crank, because I wanted it. I didn't want to compromise. I didn't want to invest all this time putting, as I'm fond of saying, lipstick on a pig. There are limitations with the existing subframe and the geometry of the steering and the like, and the fact that it's, the rest of the body was rusted. How much weight have I rusted off that existing subframe? So once you make the decision for a subframe, I started to zero in on my choices. But you have to look at the car as a whole. So I've crawled up under the rear of the 67, and you're looking at the rear frame rail on the driver's side. I may be strong, but my death grip shouldn't be able to squeeze a frame rail like it's a sponge. So clearly we're ripping everything out back here and modernizing it. So what are the options? So part of that vision are big tires in the back. Stance is so important in these muscle car pro touring builds, and ubiquitous with sort of the industry standard, DSE mini tubs. Gotta have them. I wanted it right from the get-go. So I knew I was going to tub the rear end, but all sorts of other suspension systems really adopt the mini tub concept. So just because I'm doing mini tubs doesn't necessarily mean I have to go with Detroit Speed either. Another deciding factor for me was the desire to not mix and match parts from various suppliers and chase everything down across the country. Multiple shipments into Canada again becomes problematic with the shipping fees and the like. So working with a company that could provide an integrated system was also key. So there's one piece missing from the equation that I haven't shared yet, and me, like you need to decide what you want to do with your car. Why are you building it? This isn't a autocross specific built car. I'm not looking to shave tenths of a second off of a track time, and I want the best of the best, the most extreme racing setup I can get. That's not what I'm looking for. Do I want to go out and experience autocross? Will I probably fall in love with it and do it more often? Yeah, of course. That is a goal. Will I be taking it down a quarter-mile drag strip? Yeah, I will. Just to prove what it can do and maybe settle a few grudges the safe way out at the strip. So with that all in mind, I did my research. I signed up to every forum that dealt with pro touring builds, scoured the internet, Dr. Google, YouTube. YouTube's a great resource. I reached out to companies, inquired online, phoned a number of them to discuss options, and I encourage you to do the same. So I'm guided by a simple principle. You don't make decisions because they're cheap. You don't make decisions because they're simply easy. You don't make decisions because they're popular. You make decisions because they're right. They have to be right for you, your wants and desires, and what's going to bring you ultimate value. So let's talk about value for a moment. Detroit Speed's competition is quick to market themselves in comparison perhaps to Detroit Speed, showcasing the ease of installation, i.e. it's bolt-on. Does bolt-on enter into the value equation? Well, hell yeah. If I had to pay shop rates, and considering what shop time is worth, if that's the direction you're going, that most definitely enters into your value equation. But some things you just can't avoid in terms of man hours. Some of this rust work and even mini tubs, I mean, it's not bolt-on work. And if I had to pay shop hours to have this all installed, I would have a different context to make those decisions. But for me, as an owner builder, and I'm betting on myself, I'm trusting that my build quality will be high, and I'm going to document that as I go for my own prosperity. But I'm confident in me, and I'm willing to invest in me. And any time that I bring to this build is in essence a value add, because in comparison, somebody with a similar system who had to pay to get that all installed, I'm far ahead of the game than them. So it's a value add, and for me, that value add didn't dissuade me away from the notion of taking on this formidable challenge. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So why Detroit Speed? Now that you understand my planning context, my vision, my wants, my desires, what made sense for me. Again, I'm not trying to sway anyone's opinion. I'm just sharing my thought process out loud to see if it helps shape your own thinking, perhaps. So out of all the companies out there, and I looked at them all, based on some of the criteria I laid out, I narrowed my decision down to 3. Detroit Speed, Art Morrison, and SpeedTech. So I actively engaged all 3 companies almost at the same time because I wanted to make a decision and move forward. So let's start with Art Morrison. So their rear forelink has integrated frame rails. For me, that made some good sense. I had to replace frame rails. I showed you the state of my current ones. Here's some replacements sitting on the floor. Their forelink is integrated with a square tube frame rail and the like. Thought that it was pretty good value. Their front sub also very nice. Were they as responsive to my inquiries as Detroit Speed was? No. Was their wealth of information available on their website comparable to Detroit Speed? No. Did that help sway my decision? Yeah, you bet. Next is SpeedTech. SpeedTech has a distributor here in Manitoba. I reached out to the distributor. Hey, can you help me price out an order? I'm interested. Responded very quickly. Yeah, you bet. And then ghosted me after that. Went silent. Well, that's not business. So I reached out to SpeedTech in the States. Did I get a response? Yeah, about a week later, 2 weeks later, I had already pulled the pin on the Detroit Speed order. I was looking at their front extreme frame setup. Quite impressive. I don't like a torque arm. That's just me and my personal preference. It doesn't suit my eye. So as much as I liked their extreme front sub, I didn't like the complete package. And again, their extreme front, you can only use an LS with their proprietary headers that fit, at least from my understanding. And again, going back to my vision, I'm not looking to shave off tenths of seconds off of my ET time in an autocross track. So was that the best value for me? No. And from my understanding, you can only use an LS with that extreme front, and I haven't really made up my mind yet what type of engine I want to put in my 67. I love a 427. I like the number. and I'm still a bit of an old school kind of guy. So the notion of a torquey small block with a dart block and aluminum heads cranking out 600 plus horsepower for the street in a cruiser appeals to me. Do I want to do an LS swap? Yeah, not really. But you know, an LS7 or an LSX might be in my future. Again, I'm still toying with which direction I want to go with the engine. The only thing I do know, I want 650 plus horsepower at the crank. Well, Detroit Speed gives me that option. I can go with an LS, I can go with a small block, I can go with a big block. My options are still wide open. So now Detroit Speed. Where's the value equation for Detroit Speed? Enough about the competition. Okay, so if you know me, you've heard me say this a million times. People work with people. People work, you know, and have relationships with companies, with individuals, and the measure of a company is really the measure of their people. And with Detroit Speed, Kyle Tucker and his presence, and from what I've been able to gather, and his commitment to not only first-gen Camaros, but to building the company and really establishing the pro touring industry per se, speaks volumes. There, and the individuals that he has gainfully employed there were quick to respond to my every question via email or phone call. And you know, their online tutorials or instructional videos for every component, the transparency on their website in terms of pricing, details about their components, installation, spec sheets, and the like. For someone like myself who's doing that type of rigor and due diligence, it was invaluable. Where gaining that insight and information from other manufacturers was problematic. So Detroit Speed has set themselves apart in the marketplace with their commitment to you, me, the customer, in my opinion. So do I value that? Yeah, I do. And my experience thus far has reinforced that decision for me. I've been nothing but impressed, and my expectations have been exceeded right from the get-go. And again, this isn't some paid announcement, so if you're tuning out because you think I'm pumping the tires on Detroit Speed, it's not about that. This is me, a passionate owner builder who doesn't take this type of decision lightly, and I'm just sharing my experience. So you know, the company, the people, the product, the reviews, the value add in terms of an owner builder taking on some of this installation work. This is a hobby. I enjoy it. I'm not daunted by the task at hand. I'm looking forward to it. And hence the excitement in terms of what I am even sharing with this online. I've been a private guy the majority of my life, but for whatever reason, I'm enjoying sharing this passion with my friends and colleagues virtually. So in a nutshell, thanks Detroit Speed. I look forward to working with you. I got a couple decisions to make in the future. I would have ordered rear axle assembly, but I was toying with the idea of either rebuilding the 12 bolt that I had, or you know, or maintaining a Chevy presence in the butt end and sticking with a new 12 bolt, or allowing Ford to creep in back there with a 9-inch. So I think I've made a decision. I'm going to go with the 9-inch. So probably be reaching out shortly to order a new 9-inch, and then the next is the transmission. Can't make the transmission decision until I finally decide on the motor. Obviously, with my to-do list, I won't be worrying about a motor or transmission anytime soon. But at any rate, hope you guys found some value in sort of my thought process. If not, maybe some veiled entertainment value. Regardless, it's been fun sharing that with you, and look forward to connecting with some of you online. As always, feel free to comment, and if you're interested in my build, hit subscribe and come along for the ride. Cheers.